Can you guys hear me? All right. Is this good? Are we on? I think we're on. Is it Monday? Because it feels like Monday to me. All right. Anyway, so how's everybody doing? We're good. We have some special guests with us today. We don't want to jump into it just yet. Um, we are going to dive in, give people a chance to kind of come on, also give me a chance to get some of the back end things set up before we start showing faces. And I look distracted. We have a couple of really good special guests with us. Before we do that, we're going to go to our top sponsors and give a special thank you to FPEA for being one of our top sponsors throughout the last year. And it has been magical, and we're so excited to have had them with us. And actually, our special guests for today have also come from the same place. We had Suzanne with us last week, and we have someone special with us this week. So that's cool. And we look forward to all of that. Here we go. Let's see here. Finding the faces. There we are. Hello. Oh, Brenda, we lost you. Oh, there you are. Yeah, I had the very tip top of your head for a second. All right, well, here we are. Thank you guys for joining the HEF podcast. We live stream these on Facebook, and then I always throw them up later. If you're happening to catch the beginning of this, I throw them up later on Rumble and on YouTube. And I have been dabbling with X, because formerly known as Twitter, because they have been throwing out some community support and some options for videos. So we'll see if we expand over that direction or not. But as of right now, you can find them on YouTube and Rumble. In the top left of our screen, we have Crystal Crawford, who's with us as usual. Thank you. She helps manage our community online. So if you recognize her, it's because she's probably answered a million of your questions. Thanks for being with us. And we have Natalie. Do you prefer Natalie Grace or Natalie? Because your mom calls you Natalie Grace. Okay, Natalie Grace.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have Natalie Grace with us from FPEA. This is Suzanne, president of FPEA's daughter. That's a mouthful, so we'll have to come up with a better title for you.
Something shorter would be good.
Super mega awesome assistant.
Hey, that works. I like that.
And then we have Sue Puchfarin. Sue has a program a home education instructional program down in, it's called Heed, but what's the city?
Boca Raton.
It is Boca. Okay, I knew it was near Boca Raton, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing. And I should have, because then I'd have been right. And Sue has been a long-standing member of the board of directors for HEF. And obviously everybody knows Brenda, and Brenda is once again with us. And that's our crowd. Yeah, and we can dive right in whenever you want. Today is kind of the FPEA, the convention, biggest convention in the world, is coming up. And we wanted to dive into some more questions. We had your mom on last week, and she was talking a lot about some of the history and the heart behind FPEA. And, I think not to cast any shadow on the generations that came before us, but, fresh blood is important, and how you guys see things is really important. And I kind of wanted to talk with you to kind of get some of the behind the scenes look from your perspective and kind of what you like, or what you have noticed, or what you've seen. So do you want to say anything about yourself before we dive in?
Yeah, I don't know. My mom, when I was 4, got on the board of FPEA, so it's been a little while. I don't remember a time without it, honestly. But yeah, not a whole lot I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, my youngest right now is 4, so I that really resonates with me and kind of puts that into perspective of yeah. And then of course I just spoke at a graduation this past weekend, so I was also cut between what you just said, and like 5 years from one of mine walking. And yours is what? Your graduation's coming up next year.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's just time
I'm gonna be a
flies.
senior, so it's all coming quickly, but yeah.
Have you accomplished everything that you wanted to accomplish?
Oh, that's a really good question. Like for high school or like
Yeah, for home education, for that experience while you're young and you're in the incubator before the world gets its
Mhm.
hands on
A
you.
really good question. I
Mm.
guess, yeah, like everything that I kind of wanted to do in high school, I've done, except for learned to play volleyball. So
Ooh,
kind of a smaller thing, I guess, but I'd really like to learn how to play volleyball, hang out with friends
volleyball.
doing that. So hopefully this summer.
Well, I
Well,
lost some
you've
of my
been
graphics.
involved in theater most of your high school years, haven't
I
you?
have. Yes, ma'am. So when I was, I think in the fifth grade, I started doing like a lot of theater. I had done some, when I was younger, but in the fifth grade, a lot. And then theater has just been kind of filling my schedule back to back to back. I actually had a show last weekend, and then I'll have one the weekend directly after convention. So that takes a lot of time, but it's a great love of mine. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I lost my comments, so I want to make sure nobody's commenting. I'm sorry. If I look like I'm staring around the screen like a madman, it's because I am. Okay, there we go.
Do
All right.
you have anything to do with the kids program for the convention?
No, ma'am, not usually. That's like it's a company that they bring in, Saints, and they run that. I've helped with like registration and whatever a few times, but I don't really get to be hands on with that as much. But they seem to always have a really good time, so that's good.
We love Saints.
Yeah.
They're also one of our vendor supporters. They're on our recognition wall. They've been with us from the beginning as well, so we love them dearly. And Coach
Mhm.
Rick is awesome. I keep
He
running
is.
into other people, and then I hear about Coach Rick through
Mhm.
those connections, and I'm like, oh man, like the world is small and big
It
at the
is.
same
Yeah,
time.
it's crazy.
He's really special and he absolutely loves kids and
Yes,
working with those children at the convention. They'll
He
have a
yes.
seems
great time. I'm not sure what's planned for them. Do you have any idea?
I don't know. A lot of the time they play a lot of games. They do a lot of character building, which I think is really awesome. Especially like with the little kids who probably haven't gotten as much of that before. But yeah, I honestly don't know what they do. I should check that out. Maybe be a little bit more educated in that area.
No time like the present to dive right in.
I guess
So
not, right?
you've been around FPEA though since
Mhm.
4,
Yeah.
and obviously like you're deeply involved. So what was it like growing up around the inner workings of FPEA for you?
I think like since I was so young, I kind of just thought that whatever we did was the norm for like other kids my age, like
Mm,
traveling, doing a lot in Florida. But I think like now that I'm a little bit older, I've realized I've gotten to meet a lot of really cool people that
mm,
a lot of, other teenagers or whatever wouldn't necessarily know who they even are. But I get to meet them and hear their story. And that's probably been one of like the biggest things that sticks out in my brain of like, people will ask, what have you learned, from FPA, from your mom being so
mm.
involved? And I think like that's one of the things that I'm like, yeah, I get to meet some really cool people that a lot of other adults like to listen to and take inspiration from. And some of them will be at my graduation and my wedding one day, so it's kind of
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, aside from perhaps me making the top of your list soon as favorite speaker,
Oh yeah.
drop it down a notch and like are there any like memorable speakers that stick in your mind or memorable moments like you said people have shared with you that really kind of stick out in your mind?
Yeah. Well, when I was little, I always wanted to be Heidi St. John when I grew up. My brother and I kind of both had a little bit of that in us. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about changing the world and, taking it by storm and,
Mhm.
furthering the world for the cause of Christ. So she's always been somebody that I kind of like, I guess, kind of grew up around more than some of the others because she's been around, in the homeschool world for a while.
Mhm.
Todd Wilson is kind of another person. He's always at our events. And so he's funny. I don't know if how familiar you guys are with him, but he's got a big personality. And
Mm.
so there's probably a lot of stories that would revolve around him. He came and spoke at our church one time. And he just had all of these funny stories to tell. And that stuck out in my brain. I was probably like 6 or 7. when that happened. So there's
Mm.
some that are really, really good. Connie Albers, she lives locally,
Yeah,
really close to us. So she's had probably a really big impact on like my personal life.
that's
And
cool.
then like Zan Tyler, I don't know. I have too many that I love dearly.
I think I
But
remember my first visit to FPEA. I think I remember Connie Albers
yeah,
being there as well. She was one of the speakers.
yeah, she just has really, really cool stories,
Mm-hmm.
a really cool background, and a full life that she's already lived. So it's really cool.
She definitely has that perspective to
Yeah,
add, which is nice.
it
Um,
is.
with what's something about FPEA that you think others might not know that you think they should know or be aware of, maybe?
That's a really good question. Honestly, people miss like how involved legislatively FPEA can be with Miss Brenda, and just trying to keep the legislation aspect like alive. People I think miss that a lot.
Mm.
Most people have heard about the convention. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people love it, but just the other things the FPEA does throughout the year, working to keep homeschooling an option in Florida and
Sure.
parental rights and all of those things. I think people don't know that. So that would be
And
what
all
I
of
would.
the people who watch our stream know it because we mention you guys at the beginning of our streams and the end of our streams. So you can rest
Awesome.
assured that our people know
You're
that you're
getting the word
connected
out.
to
I
it.
love it. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
FPEA also does other conferences through the years, career and technical or career in college. I think it's
Yes,
career
ma'am.
in
They
college.
did a college and career one, and then like a lot of field trips as well. And that's always a lot of fun. So they're educational field trips. That's like a lot of the other events the FPEA does. But yeah, there's so many things that I get to see on the inside that sometimes people just miss, and
Mm.
whatever they're hearing about, and the other events would definitely be some of that.
And
You
do they
know,
still do the special needs conference?
They haven't done it the last couple of years. There just wasn't always a ton of interest in it. But they're hopefully tying all of that into convention. So trying to have a special needs kind of like portion, I
Oh,
guess, where those talks are highlighted so that people don't miss it. But yeah, they've kind of merged those together now. So
that's good. That's
yeah,
very good because their parents always looking for help with
for
children with
sure.
special needs.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. It's definitely a need that we have.
I remember running into you at FPEA Day at the Capitol when you guys came
Yeah.
up and everything, and it was nice to get to talk to you and to
Mhm.
meet you. You have a very vibrant personality, and that
Thank
really
you.
stuck out. And I appreciated
Thank you.
your upbeat, positive energy. It was
Mhm.
great. There are not what would you say to other young people about your age who are interested in getting involved in their communities, either locally or, they're curious about what's going on in Tallahassee and they want to know more or they want to be a part somehow. What kind of advice might you give to them?
Yeah, I would say like go for it. I have some close friends that have been a little bit, I guess, kind of scared to get
Mm,
involved in the community for whatever reason. They don't feel like they're as educated as they could be about, subjects that they're passionate about, or are just kind of afraid to put themselves out there. But like the people who change the world, they're normal human beings with passion to do something good. You know what
mm-hmm,
I mean? And so I think like
mm-hmm.
just don't be afraid to go and put yourself out there. And whatever corner of the world you live in, you can do it with 5 people around you, or it can be a huge thing, but you don't know if you want to. So that would kind of be, I guess, my piece of advice for people who are hoping to get
Mm-hmm.
involved in the community, but don't really know how,
Mm-hmm.
is just go for it. Put your name on a sheet if you're at an organization's event and you agree with what they're supporting. Put your name on the
Mm-hmm.
volunteer sheet. Like just do it and don't be afraid to do it.
That's
That would
awesome. I
probably
think that's great advice. I love how you said that. I wanted to stop on that, but you said they're just normal human beings who have a passion to do good. I think that's lost in some ways. The overnight success
Yeah,
that we see is actually 10 years in the making or more for a lot of people.
for
But we
real.
don't interact with them until that moment where they're suddenly on our radar. And once they're on our radar, we're like, oh, that's what you do. You just go do something big. You have to be great to do those things. And the truth is what you said, just normal human beings with a passion to do good and a work
Yeah,
ethic. If I could add anything, it would just be a work ethic to see
for
them
sure.
through, right? Like the
Yeah,
passion to get started and a work ethic to see it through. I love where your heart is, and I love that you give that advice. That's great.
yeah, yeah.
What would you say to people who are your age who maybe are not interested in getting involved in their communities?
Yeah, that's like a really good question that I honestly hadn't thought about a lot.
Okay.
Um, but but honestly, like if you're not wanting to get involved yourself, at least be supportive of the people who are trying to. I think
Mm.
that
Mm.
like just a normal person can do a lot for their community, and that's really good. But I've seen
Mm.
how important it is to have the people who maybe are more behind the scenes that are helping you actually get where you're trying to go. So if you don't want to be the
Mm.
person out there in your community doing everything, be the person who's supporting the people who do want to get out there and do it.
That's so insightful. That's really, and you handled that difficult question so delicately. So let me tip
Thank
my
you.
hat to you. I wanted
Thank
to
you
kind
very
of put
much.
you on the spot at least a little bit, and you handled that very well. So that's kudos to you. You've been well trained, and this is great. No, it's so important though because I heard another father. We were chatting recently, and he was talking about how all parents raise their kids to be leaders,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, yeah, but we need people who support too, right? We need
Yeah.
leaders, but like everybody can't lead. We do need people who are just really good supporters.
Yeah,
We
for
need
sure.
those people. So you're not wrong. That's really great. I love that. Interesting. Do you have a memorable moment, most kind of like a most impactful moment, either in your home education experience or with FPEA? You can kind of answer this one and like broaden the scope if you want
Okay.
to. Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess they would kind of come together. So through FPEA, I've gotten connected to an organization called Generation Joshua.
Mm.
They do our teen program at convention every year and facilitate that. But they're a Christian government and leadership training organization. Basically, that's what they do. That's what their passion is.
Okay.
And I've had the opportunity to get to know the people who run it very, very closely. Growing up around, they were always people who were just around the FPEA world.
Yeah.
And they have these summer camps that run for 2 weeks in the summer. And I had the opportunity to go with a friend for the first time a few years ago. And that was, I don't know, the way that they challenge you to get up off the couch and like go and be active in your community, whether that's by talking to another friend about something that you're passionate about, or running a community group where you're actively involved in politics and
Mm-hmm.
faith in your community. A lot of impactful moments have kind of come from being there, I guess.
Mm.
So I don't know if that really answers your question, but at summer camp, it's just they kind of inspire you to want to go do something. And so that
Mm-hmm.
made for a really big impact, in my brain of like, hey, I need to not just sit around and wait for somebody else to do it because that's what everybody does. I need to actually go and be active and involved with my community and talking about my friends, talking about things that I'm
Yeah.
passionate about so that they know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that answers the question to at least the majority of the degree. I think that the heart and soul of where I was going
yeah.
was, if you were trapped within four walls at
Hmm.
a another facility and stuck in a desk, would you have missed out on some of the memories or moments that you cherish right
Yeah.
now? You
Yeah.
know?
I think the big moments in my head definitely didn't come from just, sitting at home and doing my work, even though I learned a lot in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I have that maybe my friends who go to school or, other people that I know who are in the school system don't, is the experiences of going out and being at the Capitol when a big bill was passed, or, working in a room with somebody when maybe I wasn't so interested in hearing about all of the stuff, but learning about the procedure of bringing an event together and making it happen, or just how to talk and handle people nicely so that they feel special. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are things that I think are so normal, that as I'm growing up, I'm finding a lot of people, don't know how to be diplomatic or don't know how to handle situations well. And I got to I guess experience dealing with that firsthand
You
through my
seem
mom.
so under-socialized and unprepared for it.
I
I'm
know, right? I need
totally
to get
kidding.
out there.
Yeah, no, you're articulate and formidable and quick on your feet, and a lot of these things, are very, very much proof that home education is a very valuable way of doing it, and at least, um, proof that you have done great, with your experiences, and they've really enriched you, and we're thankful that you're with us today.
Well, thank
And
you for having me.
Sue, you have had some really interesting experiences with FPEA as well. And I know that you were kind of wanting to share some of them. I think that FPEA has meant a lot, to a lot of home educating families, and some who might not have even taken the dive into it without that. Do you want to take the mic and speak?
I do. I want to share a little bit. My first visit was over 25 years ago, and I was excited and gung ho, and my husband was dragging his feet. And we went in to hear a speaker, Chris Davis. And I remember my favorite speakers are always not the vendors, but the homeschool parents who are speaking. Maybe they were representing somebody, but the people that have done the job, that's the people that really ministered to me through the years. And he spoke, and we walked out of that room and looked at each other and said, if what he said is true, we're all in. Because he talked about the culture of family, the experiences, the relationship when you spend your life with your kids. And really coming from a school background, that was foreign to us. So that was fast forward. That was 28 or 9 years ago. Fast forward now. I only missed COVID. I think we've been there every Memorial Day since, and have really enjoyed it and grown. And about I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 years in, connected with Brenda, and then began working with Brenda every year to get the word out from the whole lobbying side. And that turned into a great friendship, and serving with her on the board for 15 years, and now meeting both of you. So I kind of go there with two hats. I actually have a third hat now. I go there still to learn and glean from people that have walked it. And that's the people that really poured into my life. And then to work with the HEF board and to get our message out. We'll have a booth there, and people come by, they find out what we're doing and who we are and why we have the greatest law in the country and why every vendor in there has the freedom to sell their products. And it's so much from the legislative work that's been done in the state of Florida. And that is exciting. And to see that get like challenged every now and then we fight back, and then God comes through and we win. And then it all kind of even escalated with Step Up, working with Brendan and definitions and terms while that was all being written. And then the attack last year on the bill and the victory we had, like, it's just exciting. And FPA really is a platform for HEF to meet the people. We do a lot of conferences throughout the year and speaking, but to get together one-on-one and meet the people and them to put a face with it and to build community, that's huge. It's very exciting. And then the third hat is, for the last few years I've been speaking at FPEA, and I love that. I have been working on my book. All the proceeds from my book go to support HEF, and it's basically A to Z of high school. It does not have to be as complicated as the schools make you think it is. And so I think God's given me the ability to simplify it. I don't spend a whole hour on CLEP or a whole hour on college admission or a whole what is a credit, but it's an overview. So when a parent walks out, they hopefully in their comments I get are, I can do this. This makes sense. So I love that part. And then what I've been doing more recently is really looking into the education of elementary and younger children and really how the brain works, why we're doing what we're doing, what maybe we ought to consider doing. And it really dovetails into the trends that are going out there with playing with your kids and being outside with your kids and how they really learn. So that part is really exciting. My background's in bioengineering, so I love to be on the cutting edge of that. So for me, it's one of my favorite weekends of the year, to be honest with you. I get to see people that I haven't seen and connect. And this year, all 4 of my children and spouses and grandchildren are coming. Everybody back in the room and said, we'll just stay through Monday. We'll make it just a fun weekend. So
that's awesome. You know, it is like a big family reunion, like a big homeschool family, a Florida homeschool family reunion. Well, I mean, there's people who come from other states, vendors especially.
Yes.
So the love is spread beyond Florida in some ways
But
too.
don't miss it. If you're on the fence about it, jump in. There will be something there for you. If you're like, well, I don't know there will be. There'll probably be too many things for you is the problem, but you'll find speakers that are so specific to the questions that you have. It's amazing. And vendors and people to answer your questions and ways to get involved and plug your kids in. It is a shot in the arm. It is a boost for any mom looking ahead into next year, and you'll meet some really terrific people there.
Yeah.
So I have some questions. I've been watching the comment feed, and I have some comments over here to read. Deline House says, an intelligent, well-spoken young woman, a pleasure to hear you speak. I have 3 little girls, 8, 6, and 2 years old. You are a literal representation of why I choose homeschool.
Hey.
That's so awesome. Thank
cool.
you. Thank you.
And then Philip and Valerie Hughes says, see you this weekend. Our family is so excited and always blessed every year by the convention. It's life-giving to me as a home educating mom. And then this one is for Sue. We just got Sue's book. One word, excellent. Thank you, Sue.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think Katie Lane was also replying and saying that she just got hers as well. So
yeah, Katie Lane
cool.
says received. So
yeah.
I had the pleasure of helping Sue edit her book and format it at one point, and it is very, very helpful. It's an amazing resource for parents who are in that high school phase. So.
Absolutely.
And it's on Amazon, and the proceeds go directly into the HEF bank account. So actually, it's a way to support your lobbyist too. And we get to honor Brenda that weekend, which is really a lot of fun too.
Yes, it is. It is. It's so great because there's just so much history that's past, and it's so easy. I come across people who don't know any of it. You know, like I even come across people who don't know about FPEA, which is mind-boggling. You know, like that's wild to me. That you guys have been probably the biggest community building entity in home education over the last several decades. That's huge, and people still don't know, and that always kind of baffles me. You know, that there are rocks under which people have lived, and there's information that they don't know. You know, so it's great. It's great to have a forum and a place where you guys are giving exposure to all of those things, and we love having you support us in the work that we do, so that we can continue to kind of pipe the information out. I would add that if you have friends in your age group and you want to encourage them to get involved, diving into our forums or in our Facebook page, or if they want to be helpful, there are some heavy lifting parts of some of the stuff that we do. If they want to volunteer, that we could put them to good use and give them some very real world experience handling, marketing content or doing research and things like that. Like they're not sexy. Like they are not the glamorous parts of the things that like make life go, but there's a lot of digging ditches, like building a foundation. The building looks really cool when it's built and it's shiny and gold, but like moving the dirt to the right spot is a dirty job, but so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if there are people who want to get their hands dirty and they want to do some good, like, feel free to help them connect with us. So that would be,
sure. Yeah.
So outside of FPEA, And outside of, being a slave for mom, I mean, a assistant, an assistant for mom, what are you passionate about?
Oh, wow. Well, I am super involved and passionate about theater. I love to sing. So music is definitely one of my passions. I get to lead worship at my church for our youth
Mm,
group, which is probably one of my favorite things I'm involved in right now. It's really cool to see young people just worshiping their hearts out for the Lord. It's
it
so
really
cool
is.
to me.
The
So that's probably something on the I guess the more political front. I'm very passionate about the pro-life subject. That is something
Interesting.
that is very close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that I've been very lucky to be surrounded by other people who um, are also passionate in that area, which has been really cool
Mm.
for me. But I guess those are some of my passions. So
That's very cool. That's very
yeah.
cool. On the music front, is it singing? Do you have an instrument that you like to play? Do you like to write music or do you like to express it?
So it's kind of always been singing up until this point. I played violin and like did a lot of stuff with violin when I was younger.
Hmm.
If you gave me a violin right now to pick up and play, I would have no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
But I dabble a little bit in piano
All right.
and am trying to learn the guitar this summer. So that's like
Hey,
what I
that's a
want to
guitar
learn to
right there.
play
Yeah.
so that I can write more. So yeah, I love the idea of writing music, but I'm not
Hmm.
great at that yet. So
It's hard. It's
yeah,
hard. I have only dabbled. So, and I'm not sure I'll show anybody my dabblings. So, like that is,
maybe one day I'll convince you to. Maybe.
oh no, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Um, let's see. What do you envision, or what do you see as some of the most pressing issues kind of facing your age group or your generation?
Mm. I think we live in a like a culture, I guess, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but a culture that has focused so much on being so individual driven
Mm,
that young people a lot of the time don't know how to work with people as a team. And I
ooh,
feel like that's something that's very important.
mm,
Um, a lot of the time to get something done, it's not just one person. Like
right.
it takes more than one person to get something big, definitely to happen. But even the small things, it
Oh
takes a
yeah.
few people to make it happen. And I think that's like a big struggle for my generation is either completely not knowing how to work with other people or being really good at it but not being good at asking for help. So I think those are like maybe not pressing topics but characteristics of my generation that I feel like can be very good and very bad at the same time.
Right.
You have
Yeah.
to be able to work with somebody to accomplish.
Absolutely.
It's
I
so
was
important.
speaking this past weekend at the
Mhm.
Tallahassee Hub graduation, and
Okay.
um, I'm glad they got the joke because I asked them, if they wanted the fun speech I had prepared or the serious one, and they chose the fun one. But as we got toward the end, I went through like a series of bad advice that people give, kind of thing, and it was
Mhm.
kind of humorous, punchline jokes. And then I was like, no, but in all seriousness, here's a piece of advice I got from a thought leader in the '90s, and it was stop, collaborate, and listen. And they like they all blew up with laughter because that's Vanilla Ice, and I didn't lead it up that way. But the collaboration part's important. I think I personally also struggled for a long time with asking for help. Not seeing that as a sign of weakness. That you have to take
Yeah.
the weight and carry the difficulty on your own. And I think the collaboration is so important.
Mhm.
It's so
For
so
sure.
important.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily my most comfortable spot either. I'm kind of a
Hmm.
little bit independent, sometimes too much for my own good. But it's like you see how, people who ask for help, they end up going further because people respect them and see, hey, you realize you can't do this by yourself. I think that's so important.
Yeah,
So
that's great. Well, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of really cool speakers at FPEA that you're really interested in connecting with.
For sure.
Do you have a favorite this year
Oh wow.
that you're looking forward to?
So that's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jenny Urich. I love hearing her. She's the founder and creator of 1,000 Hours Outside. For those of you who are unaware, and her whole movement is, to get outside and make memories with your kids, having adventures. And she is just the sweetest and funniest person to be around. I love her. Corey Abney, who not a lot of people know just yet, but he's the pastor at my church. And he's actually a speaker who will be there this year. He has a ton of good things to say on leadership and the family and how important the family unit is. He has a lot of wisdom in that area, and so I will definitely be looking forward to hearing him and what people have to say about his talks. Yeah, I guess those are a couple of that I'm looking forward to hearing myself. So
That's good. That's really, really
yeah.
good. Let's see. I'm out of questions. So I had the questions prepared, but then we kind of skipped around. And as I was reading ahead, I'm like, oh, we answered pretty much all of these.
Yeah,
So, yeah. Let's see.
I wanted to let the listeners know also that Brenda and Crystal and Jason and myself and Dina, we've been meeting with the president of Step Up every other week for the past, seems like most of the school year, I think. But we meaning not me, but the three of them will be hosting a talk on Friday at 1:30. It's under HEF, and it'll be all things scholarship. And I've been doing this and answering a lot of questions, and they're my go-to people. So Dina Fox, I think, is probably going to be joining the three of you because she knows the scholarship from somebody who runs a co-op type home education instructional program. Crystal knows the inside and outside. I have called you the foremost expert in the state of Florida on Step Up when I refer to you. I just want you to know that the expectations are high, but she knows it as a mom using that end, as the question answer person from HEF, so she knows the legal end. She also knows it from the Step Up end because she works with them and used to work for home education instructional programs. So she is the expert. And then you take Jason and Brenda, who worked in the Capitol this year, protecting it and tweaking things, and they all spoke. And so it's an amazing, it's going to be a panel type meeting, but if you've got Step Up questions, this is your chance to come and not have to talk to a processor or a machine or leave an email. And they are doing an incredible job in this. And it's been a rough year. It has not been smooth because there's 20,000 homeschoolers, but there's also 400,000 private school people who moved into Step Up. So, they've done their best, and they've been hit with a huge burden. And it is getting better, and I think this is going to be a much better year. But this is an opportunity for families to really get their questions answered, to understand and go over the basics too of should I even do it? Like, what is it? And I think the way that it was laid out in the state of Florida is brilliant, because if we don't like Step Up, we can still go back and homeschool. And I think that was a really amazing.
It's definitely been one of our biggest struggles this year is not becoming known as the customer service branch of Step Up for Students. Like, that has definitely been a struggle because more and more people come with questions. And of course, we work with the people who have the answers and can often pass those on to them. So we're a quick resource for that. But it's definitely been one of our struggles that we're not the scholarship funding organization. And in fact, I think Brenda made this pretty clear early on, but it kind of gets lost in as time like a river flows on. It just kind of drifts downstream. But we weren't originally for the scholarship. We opposed it initially. And in many ways, there are still some very, very important things to keep a critical eye on. It's not something to just wholeheartedly throw your arms open and lean on as this new boon that it answers and solves all problems. Thank you for the money, dear government. That's not the case. So hopefully people will come. and they'll be able to ask questions, tough questions, and we'll be able to share answers with them. And I look forward to being there for that.
And you and Brenda will also be speaking at the Leaders Forum, and that will be on Thursday. That's more of an oversight on, like as you said, Step Up is a little part, a sliver of what you guys do, and let people know all about the social media bills and the different bills that went out this year that do affect our children. So that'll be Thursday at the Leaders Forum right after lunch, and then Friday for scholarship. And it'll be great because Step Up will be there also, so they can handle their stuff.
Yes, they'll be there.
From our perspective.
We will be directing a lot of people to their booth too.
And I will be at the booth, pretty much the whole time. So if you can't hit a talk or something, come and see the booth and find us, and we can answer questions there.
I should have commissioned a sign that says "Step Up for Students" with an arrow on it, so that we could put it at our booth. So
Their booth
That's
numbers on
not
it.
too late to do that, Jason.
Oh,
But
man.
we've been basically the middlemen because Step Up has worked really hard to get their systems in place, but parents get a call center when they call in, and some of the things that the parents encounter when they get a call to the call center has no way of fixing those things. And it's very frustrating to parents. So because we have great relationships, and I think that's the real key to being of service to the community, is the relationships that we have built with leaders in various organizations, the FHSAA and Step Up for Students. All of these relationships give us an open door to advocate for parents, not only generally, but specifically. I can't tell you how many specific parents Crystal has worked through their problems and gotten funding for. And we in the beginning of this worked really hard to get our home education instructional programs approved, and it was difficult to get the work through on the IT part of this program and get them in place. And so a lot of the stuff we've done behind the scenes is just literally advocacy work for our community in helping solve the problems that are out there.
And also clarifying information, because when they're getting conflicting answers from the call centers and they're just really confused, because we have those relationships, we can reach out and say, hey, they're being told this. Can we get some clarity on what is actually happening? And so that's been a role that we've been able to help parents in, just because we have those relationships where we can try to get accurate information.
And I think that's probably a good fit for us, because Step Up for Students they're internally so focused on the logistics of delivering what they have to deliver on that their community management, I think, suffers. And having us there to be able to help with community in that has really been useful to them and useful to us, building those bridges and having those connections, and useful to the community. But it has made it look like we are just those pro scholarship, arms wide open, extended customer service arm of Step Up, and that's not the case. So I just want to be clear about that.
Yes, but go ahead, Brenda.
Okay.
I was going to say maybe Crystal can speak to this. She's more on the day-to-day insight, but I know that we've been trying to work with FPEA to get their conference and other things. I'm not sure how much I can say, but can you speak to where we are for parents if they are trying to get reimbursed for conference or something along that line?
Jason would have the most up-to-date information on that. I think I missed the last call. My tooth had just been extracted. But so he's got the most up-to-date info on that, I think.
Yeah. The Dina has been working hand in hand, I think, with Suzanne and
Tracy.
Tracy has been involved in Sharon, I believe.
Yes.
And there is the potential and the possibility for reimbursement. they were not able to get set up as a direct pay. So that is something that I think for some of the things that are being offered in the future, like your mom announced the curriculum that y'all be launching she
Yeah.
mentioned it last week. I'm getting tongue tied. Things like that, I believe are looking for ways to be put in as direct pay options, which are good. As of right now, the activities that relate to students can be reimbursed for the students on the students' behalf, and we've been working with Step Up for Students to try to get them a template, like a template that they can maybe put the receipts on or something, so that it might facilitate and make it easier, and have flagged. We worked with them to get FPEA flagged in their system as like a pre-approved reimbursement. Um, I don't want to use the wrong word. It's not
There's a
provider.
Yeah, it's there's a drop down list. There's kind of two tiers of being pre-approved. One is as direct pay, but then the other is just that they've pre-vetted you and they know that you're
Yes.
like good for reimbursement and you're already on a list,
Mhm.
so they don't have to manually, look into the company every time somebody submits something for FPEA.
Mhm.
So
So is that just for the conference fee? What is that going to be as the direct pay? I mean, the reimbursement.
So that started with the conference, but it's in the works of extending it to the other programs. So the other field trip offerings and different things like that are for the students. They have to be for the students, but yes, that's a
Like
good question.
trips to NASA.
Yeah.
Oh
Or
yeah, trips to NASA.
y'all are doing some sort of marine program in the Keys as well. That's definitely educational.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we're drawing close to time, and I have a 1 o'clock, which cuts me short that I have to go prepare for.
let me just real quick
Yeah,
hit a few comments that came in.
go for it.
Tracy from FPEA says, "Hi, Natalie Grace."
Hi, Miss
Um,
Tracy.
So thankful for all of you. Katie Lane says, "Such an amazing team. Thank you all." Jennifer Tyson Scott says, "Thank you, all of you." And I think there was one up here I missed. Julie McCulloch Pringle says, "So thankful for all of you." So
Awesome.
Can I piggyback that on and let
Yes.
people know that if you're not supporting the work that we're doing at the Home Education Foundation, we'd love to have you join us as a partner. You'll have that opportunity at the convention. And I'm really bad when you tell good secrets too, like I can't keep a Christmas present secret. So I won't let anything out here best I
Yeah, not
can.
yet.
We have a really cool, exciting future announcement coming up.
Yes.
And we will be sharing that at the convention. So come by the booth and say what's going on, and we'll be have lots of good news to share with you.
Yes.
But you don't want to miss out supporting this kind of work and the things that this group of people, FPA and HEF, are doing for the next generation, for my grandkids, for your grandkids. It will come soon, I promise you. But we're seeing God transform a generation, and we have the opportunity. If you're not able to move to Tallahassee and jump in and lobby, you can help us by supporting the people that are doing that, Brenda and Jason and Crystal. And we need that. We need all of us coming together. I had somebody ask me years ago, if I wrote you one big check, would that solve HEF's problems? And I said, no. I said, I don't want one big check from you. I want a small check from everybody so we can all do this together. And that's what we're moving towards. So we've got a lot of structural changes and personnel and financial, a lot of really exciting things. God's really blessing the Home Education Foundation and really laying the foundation for the next generation that Brenda and I and a lot of people have prayed for a lot of years when we didn't see anything moving. And we are seeing God move now, and we're excited to share it with you. And we'll be doing that. And if they don't tell you, just come find me and I will tell you.
I want to clarify one thing. We will take big checks.
Yes, we will take big checks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Now we will. And I did get the big check. But the point is we do want everybody. But yes, everything we get, I can guarantee you it is used for the cause and to the benefit of your children. And to see what God's doing in this next generation is exciting. So
Yes.
It's an honor to serve with all of you and to work with FPEA and Suzanne's generation and this next generation. So we look forward to seeing everybody this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie,
Yeah.
Grace, be sure you circle by our booth. We want to see you in person.
I'll have to come say hi for sure. And if you guys are interested in signing up, you can do that on site or online. So we have a registration fast pass, so you don't get to add on special events, but you can register online. And we're celebrating our 40th year, so it's going to be a big party. So come and be there. Say hi to all of us. We're really excited about it. So
That's awesome. Yes. Thank you
and
for
we're
dropping
launching
that.
a new curriculum and a new podcast. So we've got new things
Yeah,
coming
that's
for
right.
you guys. So
That's awesome.
That's excellent. Are you going to be on the podcast?
I don't know. I'd like to be, but
I
we
can teach
haven't
you how to
talked
run
about
it.
it just
That's
yet.
This was a
Yeah.
good practice. I think you passed.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. I'll
absolutely.
tell my
Yeah.
mom.
Well, thank you for being with us, and thank you to everyone who's on the stream. I'm going to go ahead and put up our top sponsors once more. We want to say a special thank you once again to FPEA for being with us and being one of our top sponsors. We're very glad to have you guys supporting the work that we do in Tallahassee. And we want to thank all of our viewers and listeners and the people who watch the videos afterwards. It's not lost on us how many people do actually watch and share these videos. We thank you for every share. We thank you for all the time and attention that you take to take what we're talking about and send it to your friends. There's a huge footprint on the back end. It looks like maybe a handful of people watch live, but we end up with like over 20,000 views on the videos regularly. And so we thank you all for being such a wonderful community. Keep spreading the word, keep helping us get it out there, and have a beautiful and wonderful Monday.